So like that to me feels like the actual issue for both of us is like we have not ever been able to prioritize physical health over work sufficiently. For being relatively strong-willed people in other parts of our life, this just feels like such a failure of discipline and willpower for some reason in me. It's quite frustrating.
Oh, to be clear, like we all have controls. Like I can look at my calendar and tell you there is white space. This is all about just prioritizing. Don't ever sit down. Either go home and go for a walk. Like the first thing you do, drop your stuff on the ground and just head outside and go for a walk. Or don't even go home. Go to the driving range twice a week. Because if golf's your thing and it's a good escape and it's good exercise, and Seattle summers are like 6 weeks long, something like that.
They're better now. They've gotten longer with climate change. But we're like one of the few cities that has better weather. You guys just get more hurricanes, I guess, but we get longer summers. Welcome to The Intentional Owner. We are back. How are you doing, Sam?
I'm doing great, Kaustubh. It's Monday, April 21st, which I'm not sure we're supposed to say since it was not posting till who knows from now.
Yeah, but like that way the people know, where our heads are at any given moment, I guess.
Our heads are foggy. It's a Monday, midday Eastern, late morning Pacific. Easter weekend is in our rear view mirror and we're back to the grind.
Seriously. Though I'm going to Chicago tomorrow, actually, which is why we're recording on a Monday instead of a Tuesday.
Work or pleasure?
Both. Well, mostly pleasure, but so it's one of my high school buddies is getting married, so it's his bachelor parties in Chicago. But the rest of the guys are all getting there on Thursday. I'm flying on Tuesday because I'm going to go visit a tree business that, the owner of that tree business is a former search guy who's been on my advisory board the last few years. So I'm going to go visit his business. And then in the afternoon, I'm going to visit another searcher business, like a plumbing company.
That's super cool. So That's one of the cool things is in this community, people tend to be fairly open even if they feel slightly competitive, but like a local tree care business in Chicago, not in any way competitive. So
not at all. I mean, yeah, I remember even there's one of the arborists in Idaho that I got to know through our trade organization. And when we were setting up our first plant healthcare program, he sent me just all the specs to their machine and how they're set up. And it's just like, you're skipping so many steps of learning that way. And he was just happy to have somebody else in the industry who's going to try to do it the right way and, actually do good plant healthcare and not sell snake oil. So he was more than happy to share, which was awesome.
By the way, now that it's the 21st of April, I believe there's been some word that you are now a certified arborist.
Oh, that's right. That's true. I did pass on Thursday last week. I got an 88. The passing score was a 76, which means I studied 12 points too hard. But no, it was good. It was harder than I thought it was going to be in terms of while I was taking the test, it didn't feel that good. But the score worked out. But I would say when I hit finish on the test, I was not feeling confident one way or the other had I passed or not.
Okay. Did you get immediate feedback on your score?
Yeah. They print it out for you as you're walking out the door, which is nice.
So kind of like I'm trying to think of the equivalent that a lot of people would have. The GMAT does that, I believe.
Sure.
So
no, but it was nice. It was good to get that. And it's fun because it also shows your full breakout by topic. And so it's clearly my worst was soil science, soil management. But my best was plant diagnosis and treatment, which is cool. Even though it's a little confusing because most of our plant treatment stuff we do is soil management. So it's a little unclear. But anyways, so I'm now the 9th certified arborist on our team. I am the 9th most qualified arborist on our team. But it's cool. Yeah, it's kind of a fun life milestone.
All right, I got 2 questions though. So one is, unlike your business where this certification's not needed to run the business. It's not needed for you to hold to run the business, obviously, right? Here you are and you just got licensed or certified. What's your take on searchers buying a business where a certification is needed to run and operate the business and the searcher clearly is not qualified?
Hmm.
Let's start there.
Yeah. So, I mean, for us, when I bought the business, being ISA certified, it's interesting. At the time, was not at all in the Seattle City Code. It is now in City Code. It changed in 2023 that to be licensed to do tree work in the city of Seattle, you have to have at least one ISA certified arborist on staff.
No kidding.
Um, so when I bought the business, the only ISA certified arborists on staff were the two owners, right? So at that time, that would have potentially been an issue in my head, right? To say like, okay, well, I need you guys to stick around because otherwise we don't have a certified arborist on staff, not
Right.
just for like training and, handoff purposes, but truly for licensing purposes. We've since backfilled that entirely. All of our crew leads are certified, our sales guys are certified, some of our junior climbers are certified. So like I said, we now have 9 certified arborists on staff. So it doesn't have to be the owner, basically. It just has to have at least one on staff. So the fact that
Right.
we have 9 means like there's no actual personnel dependency there. But it's nice to have for me. I do think I mean, the state that I see this the most is California, right? Where I think they have some of the stricter contractor registration rules, and you need, the owner to hold the specific contractor license and have some personal training. It strikes me like a pretty big risk
Me
in,
too.
in those deals. I assume people have figured out pretty good ways to contract around it, but I'm not that knowledgeable about it, to be frank.
Yeah, and I'm not even referring to like the contract around it part. I'm referring to maybe more practically. So you're buying in an industry where the owner should or must have a certification or a license. So like question is seller important to selling to customers with that expertise?
Mm,
Like, are they the technical expert and backstop for their crews when there's a question? How seriously is the searcher willing to take that certification, like personally? Are they willing to go get it? Or is it, on my understanding is in plumbing, like it is a long road to get licensed, and it's not something you could just take a test and check a box. Like you need work experience. So like long story short, like I always worry that searchers kind of take it as a transactional check the box and aren't asking enough questions around like the necessity of the skill set to being a
mhm.
business owner. So
Yeah,
I
you
don't know.
have to have somebody on the team that can actually do that, right? Whether it's with the license or not. Like licensing is maybe more the like government regulation side or maybe a marketing element, but you need somebody who could actually answer all the technical questions. That just isn't true.
All
Yeah.
right, second question, just as serious is when's the last time you took a science class in your life?
Uh, I was not a science person, I would say. So in college, I had, so I did a dual degree program in the business school and the arts, like College of Arts and Sciences. And so in the arts and sciences degree, I had to have at least one like physical science class. And I took astronomy, which I enjoyed. I thought it was pretty interesting. It was a tough class, but it definitely like the people taking astronomy were not like, that hardcore. They were
Yeah.
more like, hey, we need this gen ed requirement. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'm thinking back, I know I took a class freshman year of college that was science related. I remember the word lab in the class title. I just don't
Nice.
remember what.
What?
Uh, so the one I mean, we're talking like AP Sciences in high school. It was the last time I
Oh,
took one, long time ago.
yeah, no. So I think I took astronomy junior year of college, I think. And I don't think I took another science class. I signed up for intro to computer science because I thought, oh, this is probably a good skill. But I was sort of like adding it on as like my 6th course for the semester. And I started going to it. I was like, oh, this is real work. I can't do this. I dropped it. And luckily it didn't matter
Uh,
because now with AI coding, like we're good. We never needed to learn that in the first place.
it's true. It's also sad, like how much of our schooling was like memorization, and now it's like there's no skill set to memorization.
Correct.
So
I
we
am building
digress.
I'm building a game right now because I've been playing around with this AI coding stuff in Cursor.ai. And so I'm building this like small business simulator game right now that once it's ready for launch, I'll show it to you and to everyone. But I'm mostly just like having fun with it. Like I've built this whole mechanic right now where like you just simulate a month at a time, so you can make certain actions and then you simulate a month. And it's like each month your team's like satisfaction drops, and like you can improve it either by training or by giving a raise or some other things. And so like if they drop below a certain threshold, then they just quit, and like your revenue keep yeah. So I'm having a good time with it.
With all this free time you don't have, come on, man.
Yeah,
Aren't we here to
exactly.
talk about balance and prioritization?
Well, I had to study for my arborist test last week, right? And I cannot stand studying. It just really, I just get bored so fast. So that's how I was procrastinating on my studying was I was like building the small
There's the
business
answer.
simulation. Yeah.
There's the answer. So what's our topic for today on the intentional owner?
Well, I want to talk about, you and I started discussing this after we recorded last week. And I feel like we should talk about it, on the podcast is,
Agree.
this idea of like, what are our non-negotiables, right? Like, as we try to move into our businesses really being a core part of our life on a long-term basis, like just starting to think about life design a little bit more. And so, you and I discussed a couple proper kind of like some non-negotiables that we can actually test out. So I mean, you can share yours to start.
Yeah, just to back up a little bit, like we're
Yeah.
talking about like maybe personal non-negotiables,
Yes.
and sort of getting to the question of how do we make business ownership sustainable for the long haul? And we make it sustainable by kind of weaving our personal life and our business life together in a way that doesn't cause a bunch of burnout. Because I think maybe less you than me, burnout has been an issue, in prior careers. So, and as it relates to business ownership, like it's very easy to just have an unlimited, unending task list. So I think non-negotiables was a way you were just asking me, like, how do I balance work and life? How do I create some boundaries between the two? And I said, I'm not going to use the bad words. I do them terribly. So like I don't have I am working on boundaries between work and personal life. And so like what are the things that I'm not willing to sacrifice? What are the times, the activities, the people? And I said that's probably an area I definitely did not handle well the last 10 years. So
I
what
mean,
was not
it comes to mind, by the way, like we are very good at launching new projects, right? Like you and I both love new ideas, like this podcast, right? Like whatever. I mean, I won't talk about exactly what it is, but like
summer
you and
golf
I,
tournament
yeah,
nationwide?
that's right. Or like, there's like a project you and I each want to do in our respective industries. And it's just like, oh, this is gonna be like real new work. And but then you have this moment of like, okay, but like we're doing so poorly in this other part of our life. Like, why wouldn't we allocate? Well, like, I feel like we need to get that side buttoned up first before we actually start tacking on like real material new projects.
Totally. All right. So what was the case for me that it was a non-negotiable I was willing to draw a hard line on is my family.
Hmm.
So they already go through the sort of journey of their dad or spouse being a small business owner that has a lot of time demand on it, stress demand. So like I'm never gonna have the kind of job that doesn't come home with stress and a lot of time involved. So I've always said there's going to be time in the morning and time in the evening, not every day and not always the same, where like the phone's got to go down. So we have like this little red basket on our kitchen counter. And so my wife and I are trying to make a habit of like putting the phones in the basket in the evenings. That's our way of creating some separation between the work we just came from and our kids for a couple hours. And then remember, it's not that long. Our kids go to bed at 7:30 every night. And, we get home between 5 and 6. Like we're just not talking about that much time. So I do that pretty well. The one that and it sounds like you are not great at is just being physically healthy. Um,
Totally.
I think we're talking like sleep. We're talking sleep and physical fitness. Let's put like the diet aside.
Yeah.
And where like you were pressing on me a little bit was I think we all recognize when you have kids and, spouse with a job, once the day starts, you lose control over your day in my world. So if I'm going to go exercise, it's got to happen by like 6:45 in the morning or it just ain't happening. Or if it's going to, then I'm essentially adding another thing to my calendar every day or every week, and there's just no space for that. So it's like, for some reason, I can get up at the crack of dawn. I can get up at 4:30 in the morning, really without a problem. Like when that alarm goes off and it's 4:30, I don't have a problem getting out of bed. I have a huge problem not going downstairs and sitting at my laptop and starting work.
Right. Right.
So for all of you who get emails from me between like 4:30 and 6:30 Eastern, it's not personal. It's just that I'm good at working at, right out of bed with a cup of coffee and cranking out whatever it is work wise. The one thing I struggle like heck to do is to just walk into my garage and do something physical. And I can't figure out why.
Well, okay. I have two thoughts here. First, we could talk about the actual morning routine, right? Because I agree with you. That seems like the spot in which you've got the window, so to speak, right? To build in physical fitness and health. That being said, like even stepping back from that, like 2 months ago, you have added this podcast, which is an hour a week, and like you found time for it,
Totally.
right? So like you have control.
Oh, to be clear, like we all have control.
Yeah.
It's like I can look at my calendar and tell you there is white space. This is all about just prioritizing.
Correct. Exactly.
What's the most important thing? Because if you were to go sign me up for like I don't know, some like Olympic weightlifting competition in June, well,
Right.
I'd have no choice but to prioritize and time block to get ahead of that.
Right. So like that to me feels like the actual issue for both of us is like we have not ever been able to prioritize physical health over work sufficiently.
Correct.
It feels like almost like a belief issue. Like it is like I just don't quite believe it's important enough.
And is it there's no, maybe part of it too is like all the upside and downside is a lot in our future a long way in most
Right.
cases. It's like, do I care that I'm a little sluggish? Nah, because my work doesn't suffer and my family doesn't suffer.
Right. I mean, I
So,
felt it. So I played golf on Saturday with one of the guys on my team. And and he's an older, like he's in his 60s. And so we were playing with two of his buddies that are also in their kind of late 60s.
yeah,
And there was one of them who, just great swing, spry, like everything, like just really in great physical fitness. And there's the other guy who like they went to college together. They're the exact same age. So they've known each other for 50 years. And like he's having a tougher time walking. He can't really get a full swing out. Like, and I'm sure I don't know what their health histories are. There could be all kinds of things there, but like it was like, oh my gosh, like something different happened in these two lives. That 50 years ago, they were much more similar in terms of physical fitness.
yeah. And so what that all means is like, I think we're all acknowledging we've got to do better in our health right now, but we're not. So why is that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm confused by people who work out every day. Or maybe confused is one word. I've never understood why. Like, there's people who clearly enjoy working out. I've never been able to drop into that feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. But maybe
Like
it
I
doesn't
played
have to be
sports.
working out, right? So
Yeah.
I've got this so we share golf in common as a hobby and an escape. And so I've got this I forgot the name of it. It's like an app-based swing trainer that's just training people how to swing faster because hitting
Hmm.
the ball further is like a very rewarding skill in golf. And
Right.
so like that might not cause us to be fitter, but like it's still physical fitness. It's still getting
Right.
some space between like personal life and work. So why can't
Right.
you do that? And I think what we discovered is you and I just value work too much. And our routines are very different. So my white space based on my life and work is the early morning. When's your white space potentially?
Yeah, mine's gonna have to be the afternoon because, like we're dealing with, somebody calling out sick is at 6:30 a.m., right? And like the guy's dispatch at 7 a.m. So our workday really starts early. And I'm not a morning person to begin with, but I've kind of normed to it. But so like what I've struggled with is like I have actually a ton of time in the evenings. I don't have kids, right? Like I have no real excuse other than like, when it's 5 p.m. and I'm going home, I'm pretty tired. Like all I want to do is like get some food and lie on my couch. And then I do that for like 4 hours.
Because you and I are really good at that, right? And
Oh yeah.
so like it was funny, we kind of figured I don't know, you have a fancy term for it, habit stacking that needs to happen. And almost like the first decision for each of us is pretty clear that like when you go home, you can't ever just sit down at the table, open the laptop and start chasing threads. Like what are you going to do to protect that?
Yeah. No, I think so. The idea that we were coming up with for me was that I should, before I leave the office, like eat a snack and drink some water, right? And that's sort of the first habit to form, such that like when I get home, I'm not in like I'm perishing and I just need to like eat 1,000 calories and lie on the couch. Like I'm pretty good at not getting back on my laptop when I get home. Unless there's like something pressing, which that sometimes happens.
Yeah.
But my actual thing is I usually get home and I immediately go into like a vegetative state, right? And what I need, and like that does work from a recharge standpoint, but it's not actually healthy recharge. And so that's what I would really love to do is to be able to like give myself a little bit of juice at the office, and when I get home, like not go straight into vegetative state then.
And so from the outside looking in, it's easy, right? Like, okay,
Right.
you sort of fuel up as you're leaving the office, but then don't ever sit down. Either
Right.
go home and go for a walk. Like the first thing you do, drop your stuff on the ground and just head outside and go for a walk. Or
Right.
don't even go home. Go to the driving range twice a week. Because if golf's your thing and it's a good escape and it's good exercise, and what, Seattle summers are like 6 weeks long, something like that.
They're better now. They've gotten longer with climate change. But we're like one of the few cities that has better weather. You guys just get more hurricanes, I guess, but we get longer summers.
Oh, you're one of the pro, to all this temp change throughout the world.
Yeah, I'm
You're in
not
fan of
pro
it.
climate change, but I'm just saying we're not too shabby here in Seattle as a result.
So the point is though, like for the next, I don't know, 5 months is your prime season. Days are long. The first thing you should be doing at 5 o'clock when you get home is like not sit down, be outside somehow, walking, swing
Yeah.
at the club in the common area, go to the driving range, do something that's outdoors physical fitness.
Yeah, I think that's 100% right. I mean, I forget where I read about this, but there's just, or maybe it was in college, but this idea of like decision fatigue,
Yeah.
right? Like part of being a business owner is you make like a million small decisions all day. Um, and fewer and fewer decisions you can make, the more likely you are to like sort of be clear-headed. And so I think that's the part that I actually struggle with is like on the drive home, I might even have my golf clubs in the back of my car and like making that final decision of like, okay, I'm gonna drive to the range instead of driving home. I think I'm just too tired at that point. And so I fall back into the easy decision, not the harder decision. Even though I like golf, I like going to the driving range. It just feels like one more thing at that point in the day.
Yeah.
And so I think adjusting like I wish I could like when I mean, actually, I'll give you this is barely related, but I'm just thinking of it. Um, when Anna and I were early on in our long distance relationship, we would schedule times to like go over like logistics basically, right? Because like we had all this like travel logistics and like when are we going to talk to each other? And so we're in two totally different life routines. And initially we would set those like logistics kind of update calls in the evenings, right? Because that's when I would be free. And by that time, I was so tired. My attitude would be like, I'm fine with whatever. You know what I mean? Like you tell me what weekends you want to make the visits and like I'll just buy like we'll make it work. And which is like actually not that helpful to Anna because then she's just making all the plans and like getting no support from me. And so what we shifted was I actually moved the logistics calls to like 10 a.m. on like Thursdays or whatever, where like I have a lot of control of my life and my schedule, right? Like I can do a personal call at 10 a.m. on a Thursday. Um, but I wasn't out of decision, energy. I wasn't at decision fatigue. So like the only difference was moving that call from 7 p.m. to 10 a.m. on the same day was the difference between me like actually being engaged in the conversation and me just being like rubber stamping anything.
Hmm.
Um, and so that, but like it's a little bit harder to fit golf in. And so
Hmm.
that's a part of what I'm wondering is like, should I just give up on my afternoons and even like it would it be better if I actually said like, hey, like every other day I go play golf at 10 a.m. or I go hit driving. I mean, there's a driving range like 5 minutes from my office. Um, I go hit golf balls for an hour and I come back and like my day just goes an hour longer. But then when I go home, I can actually just like, go into like full lie on the couch mode.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, what it seems like is to the extent you can shift your hours back,
Right.
that would help. Because then you can still stick to the comfort zone of once you get home, like you're totally turning off again, or
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
So what about this? Maybe this is more my world than yours. Do you spend much time on the phone during the day where you don't need to be in front of your computer?
Less than I used to. Like when I was in PE for sure.
Yeah.
Like now my day to day is a lot more either in person
Yeah.
or like, yeah, I have fewer meetings. Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say like the walk and talk phone calls have
Right.
been a good way to get some sunshine and get outside for me, but might not be
Right.
in your world.
I should commit. I mean, I do calls with searchers, right? And like I kind of limit those to like at most one or two a week. But I could definitely try to get better at just making those like walking calls, right? There's like that should be really a walking call.
Yeah, so why not do those at like 5 or 6 o'clock on a weekday
Right.
where
Right.
the promise to yourself is I'm not taking those phone calls, which you want to do. I know you like
Yep.
those.
Yep.
I'm not doing them unless I'm walking outside after work instead of just sitting on the couch at home.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. The Yeah. It's weird how much our weather changes in Seattle, right? Like we can finally now, so like from now forward, it's light at 6:30 a.m. and it will stay light like at the longest, it stays light to like 9:30 p.m. It's crazy. Our days are
Holy cow.
unbelievably long. But then in the winter, like it is dark when I leave from
Yeah.
home and then it's dark when I come home,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
day is like 7 to 4 or 7 to 4:30. And so I think like it would be a nice personal goal if I could like get a lot of these habits built in over the summer. I'm much better at it in the summer, obviously, for these reasons.
Yep.
And then I think sustaining it through the winter will be a challenge, but I think like I have to start somewhere.
Mm, good point. And so for me, on the flip side, where it's been challenging is at 4:30 or 5 when the alarm goes off, I didn't have like the I can't get out of bed, I'm sluggish. It's the as soon as I look at the phone, like my mind, I'm all into work.
Right.
And damn, was it tough last week to wake up and not just look at, because work comes in now every which way. It doesn't matter if you look at text messages, emails, Slack, Teams chat, like it's all work related. So
Yep.
I don't
But you
know.
did it a couple of mornings, right? Like we had the idea of like, okay, like your habit stack in the morning would be you wake up at 4:30,
Yep.
you do not look at your phone, you just make coffee,
Yep.
and then you work out in your gym. And
Yeah.
like that takes you to like 5:30 or 6, and then you start your kids routine at like 6:30, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So did
Okay.
you, I mean, it sounds like you succeeded. I think you did it once, right?
Yeah. I mean, like oh man, I got nothing to say because I'm so, like, I'm looking for all the excuses in the world and I have none other than I'm just, I'm not great at this. So,
I know. I feel that.
yeah, like,
It's like for being relatively strong-willed people in other parts of our life, This just feels like such a failure of discipline and willpower for some reason in me. Um, it's quite frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm sitting here thinking, like, why? And it doesn't have to do with like lack of time. Because if you told me right now, like, I'll bet you insert dollar amount that you can't pass this arborist exam in like 6 weeks, I'd be like, give me the notes, sign me up. And at
Exactly.
4:30 in the morning, guess where I'm going to be? Like, I'll be downstairs memorizing some serious arborist stuff.
Right.
Um, it has something to do with like the prioritization of exercise or like well-being, something like
Right.
that we're
It's just
both
like not
going
that
off the rails.
compelling. Yeah, it's not that compelling of a drive. Um,
Maybe if we did something else, like, so you and I both have a passion for golf. It serves as an escape for us. It serves as a lot of things. Connection to other people, like some physical fitness, light. If you and I and you just sent out that golf sort of summer golf tournament around the
yep,
country. If we had a bet going in regards to like lowering handicap or number of rounds played or something, like it's starting to get closer to the kind of thing we do well, which is,
I
you
agree.
know,
That's exactly where my head went too. I feel like we need some competition.
yeah, yeah. I don't want to
Right.
call
What
it
if we
that,
do?
but
No, I know.
yeah,
What if we did it, kind of like skins, when you play golf, where it's like, you win holes and then they net off of each other, right? Like, what if we like played like kind of like, I mean, we don't care what the scores are necessarily, but it's purely like you get a point for like every 60 minutes you play golf
yeah. Or what we need to do is whether it's golf or just health,
or working out. Yeah, broadly.
like I have a step tracker on my watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, like you get I don't know, some competition where you get the tally if you have a certain number of steps per day where you do certain things.
Oh, I like that. Okay, yeah, so there's like different ways to score.
Exactly.
Oh, that's an interesting. Okay, so what are the categories? So I think 10,000 steps is one.
10,000 steps, like, I don't know, 30 minutes
30
in the
minute.
gym,
Yep.
30 minutes on any kind of like fitness thing.
Yeah, like 30 minutes of like gym or cardio.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
then I'd say
And
like a driving range session, like 50 balls at the driving range.
totally. And
Um,
like we could create a list of like 20 of those things. Doesn't matter
that's
what
fun.
you do, you get a point. And I don't know, like bet a month at a time. And
I think we
I,
should bet a week at a time.
we, yeah, like that even better. Cause then it's like,
Yeah,
well, after 7 days, when I'm down 6 points to you, I can just
exactly.
write the check and be done and move on to the next week.
Right. Or maybe eventually we'll start doing the thing in skins where they start to like double up, you know what I mean? Over like they roll forward. Um,
So, and this is it. And like, to be clear, we're kind of idiots for letting this happen to us where we deprioritize, but
totally.
I don't think we're
If we're
outside
gonna
the
if
norm.
Yeah, if we're gonna be idiots, at least let's solve like our problem, right?
Yeah,
Okay, I like that. Okay, so I'll start a Google Sheet. I'll put the ones we just talked about, and then you should add yours. Um, but then I think we start like let's do it like Monday to Monday, right? And that way,
I
like
like
on
it.
the Tuesday recording session, we can to see how we did.
I like it. And we'll do it. We'll report back in a week. Okay. So, really, what we're trying to do here is just to step all the way back. Because for those of you who've made it this far in, you're probably wondering, did you guys run out of topics to talk about?
Yeah, seriously,
Um,
already.
so, we talk about business ownership, that a huge driver of people wanting to do ETA is financial independence. Sure. But it's also time independence because it allows you truly to control what you do when you do it. Not entirely, right? Because Costa, you can't exactly go play golf, go to the driving range at 7 a.m. 5 days a week. It's not what your industry allows.
No,
But it does mean if you choose not to prioritize your physical health, that's your choice you're making because business ownership allows it. You just have to be a little bit more flexible potentially when you do it. So we're going to do a little test here. and try and get two guys who have historically been really good at prioritizing work to try
Yep.
and prioritize something else. So
I
let's give
like
it a
it.
try.
All right, man. Well, I'll put that together and I will send it to you and we'll go from there.
We always end with a tactical thing. So for today's episode focused on golf, what's in your bag? Give us a 2 minute on, I don't know, what kind of clubs you play and a little bit about your golf game.
My bag is embarrassing. So here, my bag is purely convenience related, and I'll explain how, or just stupidity. Um, the first bag I got, my dad found on like the internal Craigslist of Microsoft. Like they have like an internal buy sell thing.
That's
So
cool.
I got, and so it was nice because there's a bunch of guys who like, they buy all their gear and then they're like, never mind, I don't want to play golf. So I got a bag, this like old set of clubs, like Nicholas brand, which like
Yeah.
and golf shoes. All of that together for like $70.
Holy
Um,
cow.
so that was a starter pack. And then I've slowly kind of upgraded. But then one of my best friends, Charles, he worked at the private equity fund that bought TaylorMade for a while. They've since sold it. Um, so while they own TaylorMade, he got the employee discounts there. So I was like, all right, Charles. So I got a full new set of irons, full new driver, new bag. And he had like a crazy, it was like 20, 30, maybe even 40% off on certain stuff. So reset that whole thing. Um, the one thing, the two clubs that are left from the original set are my hybrids. I need to redo those but I'm so reliant on them that I'm afraid to change them. And then the wedges, left my 56 wedge on a course once, and so I lost it. My buddies for my birthday last year got me a gift card to a golf shop. And so I went there to buy a new 56 wedge, forgot that I had lost the 56 and not the 52, and ended up buying a second 52 wedge. So now my back has two 52 wedges, no 56 or 60. Um, so but but it's like too silly. Like I don't like I'm more going to go buy like I never hit woods. I don't know how to hit woods. So like I think what I'm gonna do is just like I don't think I even have a wood in my bag. I have a driver, a 3 hybrid, a 4 hybrid, then the irons, and then like pitching wedge, approach wedge, and two 52s.
That's not unusual, by the way. I know lots of people who don't hit a 3 wood.
Yeah, so I think what I want to do is I want to get like a new 3 hybrid.
Okay.
Um and but I hit my irons really well on Saturday, which felt good. I just could not make a putt to save my life, but so maybe I like get a 4 iron just to have like a driving iron. I don't know.
There you go.
We'll see.
Cool.
Do you have anything tactical in your bag?
No, I mean, I used to my first like job was I was actually like a junior salesman at a retail golf store here in Florida. And so
Cool.
it was a great job. Like learning how to sell people on retail golf supply was fantastic.
Yeah. Because it's
Uh
all discretionary purchases, right?
Entirely. The good news is like I learned a lot. I think I was in high school and college, so I was really young and it was like a motivating job, commission based. Uh, I spent every dime plus on golf stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, if you looked at my bag, it's all old stuff because once it's working, I tend not to fix it. But yeah, maybe we'll do another session on like handicaps and I don't know, like golf's
Maybe
fun
we'll
for all of
maybe
us.
we'll do a big bet. Once we get this system dialed in of whatever our competition is and we feel good about it, maybe we'll do a big bet where the loser has to buy the winner a new set of irons or something.
Ooh,
Or like a driver.
yeah, but like
Yeah.
enough where I don't
We
want to
both kind
lose.
of feel it. Yeah, exactly.
That might be the answer here.
Yeah. So we'll start. Let's fine tune, calibrate the competition, but then maybe like we need to raise the stake. I already know that like the higher the stakes are, the more I'm gonna want to win.
Okay. Deal.
So
Deal.
so we'll build up to that, but that's what's in the back of my head.
Okay. This was fun.
All right, man.
All right.
Have a good week, and I will talk to
And
you next week.
for all of you still listening somehow, we'll catch you next week.
Perfect.